Oh, sweet blessed day. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was live there for a second. Pochettino's first game is today. And for those of us who have endured 6 years of Greg Berhalter, it is a happy, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. I will not finish that, but this is a good day. We played Panama. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit. We're going to actually watch some clips from Pochettino's pre-game press conference and see what we can draw from that, because I think there were some interesting points that he made. And then also, I'm going to talk about the potential lineup for tonight, how I think we're going to play, and what to expect. But how are you guys doing today? What is up with all of you? Saturday. Hope all of our friends in Florida and North Carolina and the general Southeast are doing okay. Haven't lost house or home. And an interesting comment here from Chris, who says, Pete, you know that we can lose both games, right? We don't have our best players. Yeah, absolutely. Even if we had our best players, we could lose both games. And, we should win both games, right? I'm not saying it's okay to lose both games. But I think more interesting than whether or not we win, in my opinion, which we should win. More interesting than that, I think we should really want to see a dynamic, fluid, attacking style of play. Because, look, you can play amazingly well, hit the post 4 times, their goalkeeper makes 12 saves, and you lose 1-0 on a counterattack, right? If that's the case, it's unfortunate because, if you do that 10 times, you'll win 9 of those games. So more than anything, what I want to see is performance. That's what I'll be watching for tonight. Of course, we all want 3 points or a win from both games, especially winning in Mexico would be a very, very nice way. And personally, I think a fan base that has suffered a lot of fatigue with this team deserves it. This fan base deserves, a win, 2 wins, and they deserve a performance that is what we should expect from this team, a dynamic, fluid, intense attacking performance. And I hope the boys understand that, because after the summer, they came into the last camp and I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything from them that showed that they felt badly about how they treated the fans this summer, the people that support them, the people that without us, the game would not exist, right? So I think the players owe the fan base better. And I hope that they come out and show it. And all the signs early on from, Pochettino, they look promising, right? They look quite promising in terms of what he wants. And I'm going to show you some video clips from his press conference. But it seems like the theme of this camp has been intensity and hunger, right? I don't know if you guys saw that first video clip of him, making them train. And he talked to them. He's like, okay, we're doing this drill, and this drill. It's going to take 40 minutes. Remember, you are not here just to have fun. We're here to work hard and in every moment to compete. And God, that is so much nicer than tonight we sick the dogs, we are African dogs. Are you ready? Right? Like already in terms of aura and presence and the demands that he's making of them, good. This is exactly what this team needs. He wasn't there to talk about tactics right away. He has to rebuild the mentality from scratch. And I think he understands that. That's what we all asked for, right? Come in and make this team a fighting team again. Because under Berhalter, it was a limp noodle team. And so I think the early signs are very promising. I think the early signs from what we've seen this week in terms of also the players themselves have talked about it, right? Tim Ream coming out and saying, we never did a 2-hour session under any coach look, this guy played for Bradley, Klinsmann, Arena, and Berhalter, and they never did a 2-hour session. Now, to be fair, under Klinsmann, there were a lot of 2-a-day sessions, right? So they would do hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the afternoon. And in the run-up to the 2014 World Cup, Klinsmann had them doing runs before breakfast. He had them going out for a pre-breakfast jog, and then a training session in the morning, training in the afternoon. Ream wasn't around for every camp, obviously. A lot of these guys didn't use him at all or very little, right? So maybe there was 2-hour sessions. I'm not here to criticize them, but the fact that he says it was the most intense training session he's ever had under a national team coach makes me wonder what training sessions looked like under previous coaches, right? And let's be honest, most of Tim Ream's caps came under Berhalter. So don't want to keep talking about Berhalter, but it's like, come on. The mood in the camp, but we all saw this. The mood in the camp was, soft, in the previous regimes. There was like, we're here to have fun. It's like Boy Scouts, and they would always hype up the team spirit. Everyone loves each other. Wes loves to dance. Serginho Dest is dancing. There's a lot of dancing and golf and karaoke, and they all love Berhalter, and Berhalter and Tyler Adams' wife are best buds, and they go out and they get ice cream. It's nice. It's nice, guys. It's just nice. And then on the field, we look like a bunch of spineless little shits. So all that to say, we have a coach now who has very intense demands. And that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about with Pochettino here. But before we do, I still use Bet Online. Believe is the code. Check it out. Berhalter has some stuff to Berhalter. It's going to take me a while to stop calling the coach Berhalter. Pochettino has some stuff to say. And I might pause it. I made a little compilation from his pre-game press conference, and we'll just see what he has to say.
Well, with ESPN, Mauricio, it seems like one of the pillars of your preferred style is to play out of the back. And I was wondering, based on what you've seen over the last few days and also looking at some previous games probably, how capable do you think this group is to play out of the back, and how flexible will you need to be in terms of implementing that style?
Yeah, from the beginning, I think the most important is to try to find the best way to build from back, respecting our ideas, but also to build the confidence on the player. I know we were watching all the games, and we know that it's not only a job that to tell them, if not, and then we need to practice. But I think we need to find a way that they feel, comfortable, and start to build the house from, the structure, because it's really important. I think we have amazing talent in front. Of course, that we need to work our offensive phase, but I think first of all is not to concede chances easier, be solid, and to provide the offensive player the possibility to feel free to go forward, because we know very well that after we have a good structure that is going to support, and we are going to dominate and play in the.
So real quick, just what I'm already taking away, he's like, yeah, we kind of want to play out of the back. Let's see. But really right now, okay, I want us to be defensively solid. I want us to play high up the field, okay, to not concede many chances, to be difficult to break down, right? To be difficult to break down. And then I want our to give our attackers the freedom to play high up the field.
Opposite half, and we are going to have more chances than create chances, more possibility to create chances. Yes, we are going to try, respecting our philosophy, but we are a coaching also. The priority always in soccer is to win, and sometimes we need to be clever. Sometimes we cannot play. Sometimes we can play a long pass. That doesn't mean that we play long. Pass is a pass, but in a different distance, And I think it's about to be and to decide, to making decision, thinking in the benefit of the team, being close to win. No, take decision because of the philosophy or the idea, because people sometimes say, no, that is my philosophy, my idea, and I'm going to die with my idea. No, I want to live because life is, it's amazing. I want to be clever, and I want to win. I don't want to die. Sometimes we cannot play. Sometimes we need to find different way, to put our player in a comfortable zone, not to in an uncomfortable zone that, to reduce after the confidence to play.
I'm Mauricio.
So what I already take away from that is this guy's going to be flexible, right? And, obviously he has his philosophy and how he wants to play. And anybody who's tracked him for any meaningful length of time knows he wants to play out of the back. But we also saw him come into a camp where the only guy who can really play well out of the back is Tim Ream, maybe Mark McKenzie. And he's looking at this, and he also has goalkeepers who really can't play out of the back. Neither A-Rob nor Joe Scally is an incredible, playing out of the back under pressure either. So he's saying, look, I want to be flexible. Sure, I want to play a certain way, but we want to win, right? And the most important thing is to win, not to ego massage my philosophy, right? And that's essentially, again, it's refreshing because how much did we hear about Greg's philosophy? And we want to use the ball to disorganize the opponent. And we want to go from the defensive third, pass it into midfield, and then onto the wings. And from there, cross it to score. Dude, stop telegraphing the game. You want to win. And that's what Pochettino is saying, right? He's like, look, I want to play a certain way, but sometimes we have to do what's best for the team to win and to adapt to the players and also make the players feel comfortable. And this is really important. I've talked about this before with goalkeepers. When you ask a goalkeeper, just like strikers, although probably even more than strikers, to their confidence positions, right? You need to have confidence to play there more than any other position, in my opinion. When you ask them to do something they're not good at and then they fail at it, then what happens to their confidence? Their confidence drops, right? And when your confidence drops, what happens to the rest of your game? So maybe normally you're a very good shot stopper. Maybe your positioning is normally quite good. Maybe coming off your line to read crosses is quite good. Maybe the way you bark at your back line is, assertive. But now, because you have to play out of the back under pressure, which you're not good at, and then you give the ball away, so now your confidence is suffering. And now other aspects of your game start to suffer. And a good coach understands that, right? And so I think he's looked at his goalkeeping pool and he's looked at his defensive pool and going, look, I don't know if they play under pressure out of the back, maybe sometimes it's okay to go over. Play a long pass. And it's just really, really nice to see that flexibility. He wants to put the players. Now, look, this is all talk, right? You can say whatever you want. We'll see how it looks tonight. But for anybody who's looking for clues of to what's going to happen, I just thought that was an interesting mentality that we go into. This next question from Stephen Goff was a terrible question. It's not an interesting or question that you can have a lot of good answers to. But of course, Pochettino did manage to give us some information from it.
Steve Goff from the Washington Post. When you watch Christian Pulisic play, what do you see?
What do you see? Come on, what is he supposed to say to that? This is what annoys me so much about some of these journalists. When you watch Christian Pulisic play, what do you see? You see a good player playing at a high level, Stephen. Thankfully, Pochettino was diplomatic, said what people wanted to hear, and then gave us some more information on Pulisic.
A great player, fantastic player. I'm seeing a player that
you can even see it in his face. He's like, a good player. Like, what kind of question is that?
I think it's going to help now and then in the future to put, the team in a place that we want. I think he's a fantastic player. He's one of the best offensive player in the world.
And his current form with Milan.
What he's saying is his current form with Milan. What?
Playing every single game, every single minute. That is also, I think that we are a little bit worried that sometime we need to protect. We'll see. Because he arrived a little bit tired from. But that is a thing that I told before, is to build a very good relationship with the club and try to help. And when we really need him, that he need to be informed, happy, strong, and the quality is there because he has an enormous talent. He's a fantastic player.
Ryan, to your left, second row.
Enormous talent, fantastic. So what he did say, which I thought was interesting, was that Pulisic did arrive a bit fatigued, which is fair when you're playing 90 minutes twice a week, right? Putting Milan on his back, for sure. He's arrived, which is why I'm not sure Pulisic is going to start tonight, okay? I'm not sure if he's going to start tonight, and I'll talk about that when I show you my projected starting lineup. And then we had this other question, because we've talked about intensity, and watch Poch's answer, because I think Poch actually pushes back a little bit on this, it's such an intense training session. But listen to his answer to this question.
Hello.
Hi, Mauricio. I think the word that every single player we've talked to this week has said is intensity. and I'm sure that intensity
In
comes
which way
from,
intensity?
to describe
In which way intensity? Look at his face. He's like, wait a minute. What kind of intensity are we talking about here? What kind of intensity, bud?
having played under you in these training sessions and everything that goes with it. I'm sure that comes from two places, and that's what you demand of players and what you ask of them, but also from them being determined to impress you, especially in this first camp, and sort of win their spot. You know, for you, how do you manage that intensity, and how do you foster that intensity, and how is it different in this stage where you have them in a limited time versus at the club level where you have to kind of extend it?
Yes, of course. How we manage is yesterday and today we are not going to that intensity that you are talking in a physical condition, no, but the problem is, like you say, I think you are right, is to try to show, to demonstrate. It's all is new. I want to make happy, the new coaching staff, the new people. But of course, we are a coaching staff that we demand a lot. I think because we really believe that if you want to compete in your best, I think you need to train, to try to replicate the intensity that is after is going to demand the competition.
So he's saying, look, the reason we train at a very intense level, because the game demands it. You have to train like you play. If you train at 40%, if you train at 60%, you're not going to play at 100%. This is like, duh, but it needs to be said and it needs to be reminded, because it almost feels like there's like, wait. And even on Twitter, when I posted about the intense training sessions, some people were concerned about injuries, right? Which is a natural concern. But he's not just talking about physical intensity. He's talking about up here intensity. He's talking about the focus and intensity with which you approach training. If you're goofing off and half-assing it or even 90%ing it, then you're not training like you play. You need to train like you play. And that's what he demands of these players.
In the same time, I think we are a coaching staff that we love to work with the performance area, and all the structure that we find here that was fantastic to help us to individualize all the load, because I think it's important in the way. Maybe you didn't have the possibility to see all the training session, but always, we are spending 24 hours trying to find, the best way to manage the player. And sometimes some players need to rest or need to do different job, or in some training session, it's not the full training session, only half. We will manage, and of course tomorrow we want to put on place 11 players that feel fresh and with the possibility to compete in the best and not to take risks, because that is another thing that I wanted to tell you, that we are not going to take risks with our player. Of course, after it's a competition like the World Cup, that is, that all the players want to play. Maybe in this moment, maybe we need, if the player is really important for the team, is to take some risk, because in football, it's not 100% without risk when you compete. But I think today or in all this day. But intensity is not only physical, if not, it's mental, and the concentration always. When there's a new people arrive, you are more focused, concentrate.
Yeah, he's like, it's not always physical intensity, it's mental intensity. Which the U.S. used to be known for, right? Pre-Berhalter and pre-Cuba, everybody hated playing the U.S. We were known for that intensity, for that fierceness, that hunger, that like, you might beat us today, but it is going to be hell for you to get that win. And more likely than not, we're going to find a way to win, or find a way to shut you out, or find a way to score in transition. But it is going to be a hell game. And under Berhalter, we became just a bunch of wet noodles writhing on the ground, letting people cut through us. And Poch is changing that. At least, again, early signs. Again, this is talk, right? We have to see how it looks in real life, because it's easy to sit there and say, this is what we're going to do. It's another thing to, like, Berhalter was, said a lot of things that he never actually did. So let's see what it looks like tonight. Oh, shit. I accidentally moved this.
In the same time, actually to see all the training session, but always, we are spending 24 hours trying to find, the best way to manage the player. And sometimes some players need to rest or need to do different job, or in some training session.
Yeah, so he's also talking about managing player loads depending on who's played and who's not.
Only half. We will manage, and of course tomorrow we want to put on place 11 players that feel fresh and with the possibility to compete in the best and not to take risks, because that is another thing that I want to maybe in this moment maybe we need, if the player is really important for the team, is to take some risk, because in football it's not 100% without risk when you compete. But I think today or in this all this day, but intensity is not only physical, if not it's mental, and the concentration always when there's a new people arrive, you are more focused, concentrate. Your application is, sometimes even in the boxes that sometimes players want to play and enjoy. Oh, it's a new coach. If I touch the ball in not the right direction, I go too much in. After he's going to see, oh, this guy is not good technically. They want to show that is why you spend more energy here that affect your body. But maybe, that is the reference that maybe some player. But that is good, because I think in the high competition, it's about to work really hard. Player that maybe because we receive a percentage of player on the squad that maybe didn't play too much. We need to be responsible also with the clubs, and we need to send them in the same, but not in the worst. But for us, is in a better condition if that is possible, not in worse condition. Sometimes when we were in another side, was like player all in different way, but if the player arrive here, and because we don't want to take risk, we don't want to do nothing, and on the end they arrive and they come back fatter than the.
I know Weston McKennie heard that and was like,
the way they arrive, or with a condition that is not so good because they don't train too much. I think, it's the balance is the best way to be responsible, because the club that gave us the possibility to use the player, we need to be very professional with them, and that is also for us important.
So that is just a couple of snippets from his press conference, which again, it's like, look, you can't draw too many conclusions from a press conference. What you can do is get hints or clues into what we're going to see. And hopefully the team responds in the way that he wants them to and shows that hunger and that intensity. As far as what to expect, I think we're going to see him play with a very high line. I think this is going to be a pressing team. There was a drill that he did this week where he had 2 sets of rondos going out, up. And, if you lost the ball in one rondo, okay, the person who won it now passes it to the guys in the other rondo. And whoever lost the ball has to sprint 30 yards to get to that other rondo to win the ball back. And while this was going on, players sprinting back and forth. So you sprint 30 yards and then you still have to organize yourself to try to win the ball back, right? And then the whole time, Poch is yelling, you lose the ball, you run. You lose the ball, you run. And that's twofold. That's a twofold thing. One, don't lose the ball, right? Be focused, be intentional with your passing, with your decision-making, right? There's real consequences to losing the ball. 2, if you do lose the ball, you better run, okay? You better run. And I think that's what we're going to see, a lot of high pressing. I think we're going to see guys on the field who are fresh, who are fit, who like to press. And I'll talk a little bit about the starting lineup that I expect to see. This is not based on like a source or anything. This is just based on who's available and what Poch said, like, how Poch wants to play, and it's just guesswork, okay? This could be wrong. I'm just going on guesswork right now, all right? So I think you're going to see Matt Turner in goal, and the reason I say Matt Turner, it could be Matt Turner, it could also be Patrick Schulte. I don't think it will be Stefan because he was not in training with everybody else the other day. He was on the bike with Marlon Fossey. Now, what is interesting is in the press conference, Poch also said he wanted to start Marlon Fossey against Panama, but they can't. Because he got a slight injury. So I don't know if that means he's out for the camp. Probably not, or they would send him home. He might still be available for Mexico. So I think we'll see Joe Scally and Anthony Robinson as the fullbacks. I think we'll see Ream and McKenzie as the center backs. It could also be, Trusty and McKenzie, Miles. We'll see, right? We'll see who he ends up putting. We really have no idea. I'm just guessing. And then in mid, I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. Weston will almost certainly be in that double pivot. And it's going to be either Musa or Aiden Morris as the other guy in that double pivot. So Musa or Morris. I put Musa there because I think it's likely But it could also be Aiden Morris. To be honest, I think Aiden Morris deserves a start over Musa right now. Musa was terrible in the last camp. He's not playing much, if at all, for Milan. He was recently criticized by the coach for not being a ball-playing midfielder and only being a ball-carrying midfielder. I think Morris, based on his last camp and his form for Middlesbrough, probably deserves a look. And then I don't think Pulisic will start. I think he's going to rest Pulisic. Either one of two things. Either he's going to rest Pulisic, because he did say he looked tired and he's a little concerned and he doesn't want to push him. So that, to me, speaks to the possibility that he's not going to start Pulisic. So that would mean probably Tillman at the 10, Haji right on the left, and Brendan Aronson on the right. Wherever Brendan plays, I think he will start because he's a very energetic, pressing player, right? And I don't know if he's going to play him in midfield, and maybe could play him at the 10, and he could play Tillman on the right. But if there's no Pulisic, we don't have a lot of options on the wings. It's Haji, Aronson, Tillman. There aren't many great options unless you start going down to a guy like Ale Zendejas, which he should not start at all. He shouldn't even play in this camp, to be frank. And then up top, it's either Sargent or Pepe. And I'm going to guess Josh Sargent because he's in great form and because I think he is a very hardworking, pressing midfielder. And I think he sort of fits the way that Poch wants to play with Balogun out. And it'll be interesting to watch Sargent because we haven't really seen Sargent since the Qatar World Cup. Almost every camp, he's either been injured or has a niggling injury or is like playing through pain. So now we kind of maybe get to see Sargent. And we'll see. I think the big question marks are center back, goalkeeper, the number 6, and the striker. We could also see Pepe. Like, we have no data on who Pochettino likes to really make a clear prediction. So this is mostly guesswork, but I guess we'll see. But I will say, this is a B lineup. Okay, whoever plays tonight, it's a B lineup because look how many starters are missing. Goalkeeper, who's the starter? I don't know. But Serginho Dest is a starter. Chris Richards is a starter. You could argue CCV might be a starter. Okay, Tyler Adams might be a starter. Gio's a starter when he's healthy. Pulisic's a starter. Weah's a starter. Balogun's a starter. So 8 out of our 11 are B team play, or not B team, B lineups. The only like locked in starters in this team right now really are A-Rob and McKennie, probably those two. And you could maybe argue that McKennie is not a locked in starter, right? So this is a B lineup. It's still a B lineup that should win the game, right? There's absolutely no question about that. But more important than winning is I think this is a lineup that we should see really show what a certain level of hunger and intensity that Poch has been talking about. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing with this team. Okay. And I think we should be patient also, right? So long as we see seeds or evidence of what is trying to happen, everything else, the tactics, all of that, they can continue to build that up. And then from there, we can see, where that goes. But I think at the very least, what we expect to see from this game is this team going balls to the wall, absolutely making the opponent miserable in terms of possessing the ball, and not just possessing the ball, but using it effectively, using the ball effectively. And then also when you lose it, go get them, right? That's what we're looking for. A couple of super chats here. Andrew Gonzalez says Pulisic shouldn't start, second half sub in both games. So I agree with you about not starting today. Maybe you give him 45 minutes against Panama or even half an hour against Panama. But I think you should absolutely start against Mexico. We have an opportunity to win in Mexico, which we haven't done, I think, since 2012. So it's been 12 years since we beat Mexico in Mexico. And that is a statement game for Pochettino and for this team. For a team missing many starters, that is a statement game. So absolutely start Pulisic in that game. But then maybe because you plan to start him there, don't start him against Panama today. That would be my preference. Among USMNT, Pete, a call-in show, per favore. The occasion merits it. LOL, first game under Poch. I cannot do a call-in show today, guys. I have to end the stream after half an hour because I have a lot of work to do before we do it tonight. But tonight, we will be there. Anybody in the game, raise your hand. I will tack, of course, we'll be doing the live watch-along, and then the post-game will be at 11 Yanks. So for those of you who are new, Tactical Manager TV will do the live watch-along there. And then post-game will be here at 11 Yanks. So, yeah, guys, have a great Saturday. It's exciting. I think it's going to be a fun game tonight. I think we're going to see something special, or at least we're going to see measures of progress, and that's going to be fun. Thank you, Mexican American. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great one, and I will see you all tonight.